New Haven, and welcome back to another episode of Arts Respond. I'm your host, Lucy Gelman, and I am so excited to be here on the airwaves and the Zoom waves and I don't know, whatever the internet on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven with Chris Bethune. If you recognize that name, it's because he is a son of New Haven. We're not going to talk too much about you leaving. That maybe we'll talk at some point about that. I just have like a lot of pride for the city. And in addition to being a son of New Haven, he is the face of Tubi's upcoming series, Divided Loyalty. I can't wait to talk about this, to talk about you catching the acting bug. So let's hop right in. We have a very general listenership, which means that some folks are super into acting and theater, and some folks are
Excellent.
like can't be bothered to go to the theater. But I feel like I want to hear about your background as an actor, but then also TV and streaming is this thing that unites us, right? We all got
Yep.
through the pandemic with Hulu and Netflix and Tubi and all the things,
Very
right?
true. Very
So
true.
let's start with like baby Chris, right? And talk about your humble beginnings in New Haven.
Well, first and foremost, I want to say good afternoon to everyone all over Connecticut. A special good afternoon to New Haven. That's where my heart is. Born and raised in New Haven on Ward Street. You know, and I never left. You know, yeah, I feel like home is where the heart is. So when you talk about baby Chris, who is baby Chris? Chris is somebody who's always had a passion for acting. I've always had an a creative imagination. Even to when I was growing up on Wall Street, I used to write stories and act out the stories while nobody was around. So, I think that through the course of my adolescence and my development, I transitioned a lot of those creative moments into playing sports to where I was playing basketball, football, soccer, track and field. You can still see my name up at Career Hill Regional Career High School's gym as an all-state triple jumper from 2001. So that's who Baby Chris is. Like I've always loved acting. And then when we talk about my acting journey, I feel like I started my journey a little bit later than most people. So when it came to me, I always wanted to act, and that was always a desire that I had, but I never really knew the courses or the avenues to go down to actually pursue it. And then in 2016, I ended up losing my job and I was able to pray because I'm a praying man. I do have, like, I let my faith go everywhere that, before me. So I do believe that my steps are ordered. So with that being said, as soon as I lost my job, I felt like it was a way that I could really go down and follow my heart and my passion about acting. And I was doing background for a movie. The name of the movie was called, let me try to remember it. Um, I don't remember the name of the movie, but I met someone named Ellie Escobar. So, and we just had a background scene to where we just connected, and Ellie thought very highly of me. She was like, "Man, are you acting? Like, where are you acting out of?" And I was like, "Well, I'm just starting, but I really want to get more, but I don't like, I'm not satisfied with just doing backgrounds." So through that, she connected me with Erica Derrickson, and Erica was working at Boston Casting. And while little old Chris was unemployed and barely scraping up enough money for gas, I was driving up to Boston every Thursday to be in her foundation of acting classes. And that's where I actually caught the bug for learning about the business side of the dream. Because when it comes to acting, everyone has a dream, but there's a business side that precludes your dream. So when we talk about the balance between the two, I was able to one get a free headshot from Erica. So as I started to do more and more of her classes, I was talking to her about the business side, and I was trying to put some things in place. And through her learning that I was a New Haven resident, she connected me to who is now my mentor, has been my mentor and a father figure to me for the last, I would say, about 8 years now, Reno Venturi. So he has his acting studio in Hampton called the Actors Gym. So I started to take classes with him. And I remember when I first met Reno, um, and the freshness of just losing my job and wanting to act, I really didn't have any money coming in. And his classes, I wanted to say, were about 250 for 6 classes. And through my acting, or through my endeavors, going background and doing things like that, I was able to scrape up $100. And I said to him, I want to do your classes because I'm serious about my craft. And he looked at me in the eyes and he said to me, if you're serious, I want you to put a deposit on how serious you are. He said, it doesn't have to be the whole dollar amount. He said, you do what you could do. And he said, and I'll meet you halfway. And I had $100 in my pocket at that time. And I gave it to Reno and I told him, I said, I'm serious. And he said, you know what? I'll see you in class. So through that, I ended up, going and doing his fundamental acting class, and that's where I learned about as an actor, it's really about us creating that emotional journey or learning the emotional journey of our character and having it be authentic enough to where when you're going and you're doing your scene study and you're doing your character development, being able to connect with the script, because everyone, like, even when we act, our characters are human beings. So our characters laugh, they cry, they get joy, they hurt, So through that, what I learned is that you have to be honest and authentic in your presentation of who this character is. And that's how you connect with the audience. Because when you're not honest or authentic, the audience could tell and they're not going to believe your character. Because if you as an actor don't believe it, then the audience won't believe it as well. So that was the first thing that I learned in my acting class. And as I was going and I just kept going to different classes, I became knowledgeable about the fundamentals of acting. I've taken classes about being able to do commercial classes, television and film. I've done monologue classes. I've been in a couple of different, projects that I could say, my training came from the Actors Gym, and I'm forever humbled at my humble beginning. So when you talk about Baby Chris, everything that I went through has made me this version of me, and I'm loving the version of me that I am, and I'm loving who I'm becoming, and I'm loving seeing the guidance as to who I am going to become.
I also want to ask, so I have to community radio at its finest, run from my desk and give my badge to someone else in the building. But I want to ask, and then I'll just bop away. You're the youngest of four. Do you feel like your siblings sort of prepared you for acting a little bit, or like, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot you learn. I only have one sibling, but I feel like there's a lot that you learn, right? You have to learn how to like share space, when to step up, when to step back, things like that.
Well, I am the youngest of four, and you forgot to say I'm the cutest of the four, but that's going to be Beyonce. Yeah,
And
I
I
just want to say
am,
hi to my brothers.
oh, hi, brothers.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna step away, but I'll be right back. So keep talking.
Okay, yeah. So I am the youngest of four, and I think that the excellent part about growing up in the inner city in New Haven is my mom. Hi, mom. I'm hopefully you're listening to this. But my mom was the kind of person that she accepted everyone into her house. So everyone that grew up on Ward Street, those are all our family. So while I was the youngest of four, I have a whole bunch of cousins and community members that are near and dear to my heart. So with that being said, I learned one of the most valuable things that any actor could learn, which is how to be part of a team. And I think that what we'll see through Divided Loyalty, and we see through my work with Steve Rashan, who is the creator, the director, producer, Mr. Everything for Divided Loyalty, he creates that atmosphere for me to be able to assume a natural role as a team player. So when you talk about me having my siblings, it was definitely a blessing to grow up as the youngest of four. The oldest brother between him and I is about 8 years, so I was able to see things from an older perspective because I always thought my oldest brother was the best thing since sliced bread. So I always want to run after him. I want to chase after him. I want to be like him, hang with him. But with that 8 year difference, there was a lot that I had to learn. So it kind of gave me an old soul, just to be honest. And I bring that to my character of Jerome in Divided Loyalty. So I think that when we talk about like having the strong family structure, I think that that is something that I was able to bring to my character because not only does having three older siblings help to contribute to my character, but as Jerome is somebody who's a loner. He doesn't particularly like to work with anybody. He's somebody who part of the reason why he got this assignment is because of his independent work. And with the fact that Jerome wants to make a big splash being a rookie FBI agent that's infiltrating this bank robbing ring, he doesn't like people. So his part of his plight is how do I get in deep enough to where I'm able to connect with these people who are criminals, but still not lose my identity with being a FBI agent. So when you talk about having siblings, I know what it's like to have siblings to embrace me. I know what it's like to grow up and not be on to to have different fights with my siblings. I know what it feels like to have support from my siblings. I know what it feels like not to feel supported by siblings. Um, so what I would say is being the youngest, there's been times that I felt like I had everyone in my corner. And then there's been times that I felt like even as a youngest sibling, like I was all alone. So when we talk about my character of Jerome and what do I bring to that character, that's part of what I bring to that character, being able to honestly and authentically say, how does it feel to be with siblings that you always long to be accepted by? But I'm also able to say, how does it feel to feel alone and to feel like you have no one in your corner when you need to turn to someone?
And was like, let's get into it because so let's talk about divided loyalty. When you started acting, was it like what was your dreamy dream? What was your goal? Was it TV? Was it movies? Was it the stage? Some people are real I don't want to use the word snob.
Hmm.
They're like real purists and they believe that like being on the stage has more integrity than being on TV. I don't specifically agree with that. I think that um doing something for like streaming is really taxing.
Yes.
Yeah, and so let's talk about how divided loyalty happened, and the role that that's playing in your life.
So before we talk about divided loyalty, there is one thing that I have to talk about because
Absolutely.
before there was Chris Bethune starring as Jerome in Divided Loyalty, there was Chris Bethune that had the honor to portray Jack Johnson in the Royale under Jenny Nelson.
That's
So
right.
so what Jenny didn't know at the time is she gave me my first leading role in anything. Like so for me to be able to like have that as something that I was able to lead, I was scared to death, and I was nervous and, I second guessed myself left and right. But Jenny believed in me. Reno believed in me. The cast of the Royale, they believed in me. Greg, Oliver, Tamika, Ian. So and that the entire cast and crew, like that was an amazing cast and crew. And if it wasn't for them pouring into me, and and they didn't even know that they were doing this because they didn't know what I was struggling with at the time because Jack, the character of Jack Johnson, he was prideful. He's out there. He's bold. He's big chested. So that was who I hid behind. But when we talk about what my what my goals were for acting, I always wanted to create my own lane. And within creating my own lane, I always felt as if I had a gift that I wanted to share. I've always loved to write. I always loved to recreate. Always loved to show a different side of me. So I never wanted to get into acting because I had a lust or a desire to be famous. It was never about, oh, I want to be on Broadway or I want to be on TV. It was more so one day I want to connect with people who are like me, who grew up in the inner city in New Haven, who, if I'm going to be honest about my upbringing, my mother, she did the best that she can. She had my brother when she was a teenager, so by the time that my mother was 23, she had four kids. So when you talk about growing up in the 80s and the crack cocaine epidemic, and like there's times I would walk to the pizza place and there'd be shootouts and I had to get on the floor. There's times that we had drug dealers and different people that would be in our house who were part of our family. And the one thing that they always did was they always respected my grandmother. So with that being said, I always wanted to make them proud because it was those people who were in the streets when I was growing up who told me, yo, go in the house. You're not built for this. Like this is not the life that you want to live, out of the respect for that they have for my family. So because they gave me this opportunity, I felt like I wanted to go full force into this opportunity and I wanted to make them proud. So so me, I've never been one that was about money. I've never been one that was about fame. And part of the whole reason why I'm doing this red carpet series premiere at the Boathouse, and again, I'm gonna plug this because October 5th, we're doing a red carpet series premiere at the Canal Boathouse. And I need everybody in New Haven to pull up, come up. But the reason why I'm doing it is I want to share my gifts with my community. I love Connecticut. love New Haven. I've been bouncing between different states, New York. I've been to LA, I've been in Houston, I've been like pretty much all over the United States. And to really have this series premiere and be able to do this in my hometown and have the people be there, it means something to me. So like I love New Haven. New Haven is my heart. I'm so excited to be bringing this. So, when you ask me about like what my acting goals were, to me, I'm already successful, because God gave me an avenue and a perspective to be able to share my gift with people. And so me doing a series, I'm all ears. I can't wait for people to be there. I want people to see it. Like you're gonna see the red carpet, you're gonna see the media there. There's gonna be hors d'oeuvres. We're gonna have the whole boathouse decorated. It's we're gonna have a DJ, a saxophone player. Like this is gonna be like the event of the year. So I'm looking forward to having everyone come up. So again, follow the page on Instagram, Divided Loyalty Series. You have our ticket information and all the information there. We're also on Facebook, the Red Carpet Series premiere, Divided Loyalty. You type that in, you'll be able to see us. Go on Eventbrite, type in Divided Loyalty in New Haven. I will pop up. So to me, this is what I always dreamed of, being able to have this gift, being able to work my behind off to perfect my gift and turn around and be able to share it and see what I become better at.
I wanna talk about divided loyalty. And as you were talking, I pulled up the piece I wrote about the Royale in the before times, right? It was
Yep.
pre-COVID. So that was a beautiful trip down memory lane. And shout out to Jenny Nelson and also Dexter Singleton, who are the
Dexter.
really just like prodigiously talented team running
Yeah.
Collective Consciousness Theater.
Yes.
On like a shoestring budget. They make so I feel like I'm gonna get in hot water, but probably the best theater in the city. And we are a city of theaters
Yep.
with a very tiny budget. So they're doing really good work.
Well,
Um,
I said it, so you can't get in trouble now. I said it. The Collective
okay,
Conscious Theater is
cool.
amazing.
They
They
are. They're incredible.
yes, they are.
So let's talk about divided loyalty. Tell me
So
about this project and talk to me about Jerome and building the character of Jerome because I watched the trailer and I'm someone who like theater is this whole breadth of experiences, right? And so it's
yeah,
everything from like pretty heavy and pretty traumatic stuff, and there's clearly some of that in this, to like Moana Junior, right? Which is not what this is. And
yeah.
so tell me about the getting involved with divided loyalty and how you built the character of Jerome and who Jerome is for folks who don't know.
So so I'm long-winded, but I love it because I am a believer and I believe that my steps are ordered by the Lord. So I just feel like I walk in it and that's what's in my heart. So going back to 2016 when I lost my job and I was going and I was on set, scraping up money to do background, and I was on the background of I Feel Pretty. And it was my birthday, and I was like, okay, why am I on set on my birthday? Like I like to, I want to have fun with my family and with my friends. And I met this guy, and we just instantly connected. And this guy's name was Stephen Rashawn. And Stephen Rashawn, as you could tell, is the writer, the creator, the producer, Mr. Everything for Divided Loyalty. And the conversation that we had was so light. It was free. We connected. And when you're doing background, everyone has the same goal. Like no one wants to be background. Everyone wants to see if they get an opportunity to share their gift. So as Steve and I were talking, he talked to me a little bit about divided loyalty. He's like, "Hey, I'm gonna call you." And I was like, okay, gave him my number, and I didn't hear anything for a while. And I'm like, okay, I give my number out. People say they're gonna call. Some people do, some people don't. So then randomly I get a call like, yo, Chris, so I got this project I'm working on, it's called Speakeasy. I got a role for you. Would you be interested? I'm like, yeah, Steve, like, come on, you gonna let me share my gift? Why not? So I go to Speakeasy, and as we're on set for that, he's like, I'm working on divided loyalty and I want you to lead it. So then I say to him, what's divided loyalty? And what I learned through my conversation is divided loyalty is about a rookie FBI agent who's going undercover to infiltrate a bank robbery ring. And through his undercover work, what he learns is that the bank robbers, they have ties to organized crime, and they have ties to like the FBI and other government agencies. So the deeper I get undercover, the more I start to unravel that there are certain things that are going on that makes me feel like my character as Jerome is becoming compromised. So now as Jerome, I gotta pick and choose between, am I going to be faithful to the badge that I'm working, for? And as I'm doing this and being a federal agent, it's like there are people who are corrupt in your system. So I'm conflicted, but now I'm working with these bank robbers, and I see what they're doing, and it's like, are they bank robbers? Are they criminals? Are they vigilantes? Because what you're gonna see through the series is they start to take different jobs, but the different jobs that we're taking are really for a greater good. So so when you talk about the inner conflict, it made me feel it makes me feel like this. Divided loyalty is not just about cops, robbers, like car scenes, shootouts, things like that. It's a deeper project to where when we start to see it, we start to see how the mental health of even me as a black man comes into question, because I think that what happens, and a lot of our viewers could relate to this. Sometimes they're like, you as a person of color are you come to a knowledge that sometimes we're working for historically racist organizations. That's why there's a push on when we talk about the need for collective consciousness theater. You know what I mean? We talk about disproportionality amongst black and brown people when we talk about like being involved in different systemic structures. So part of what the internal conflict that my character goes through is, you're a cop, but you're also a black man. So where does the loyalty go? Like are you loyal to your badge, knowing that there are some people who are not as loyal to their badge, and they're taking alternative methods so that they could become greater for themselves? Or are you loyal to these bank robbers who are committing crimes? So like what about the oath that you took? So when we talk about divided loyalty, there's an internal conflict, and you see the wear and tear on my character as the series goes on, even to the part to where you see the expression, and this is what I love about acting. Like, I love acting because when you talk about connecting, you talk about being honest and authentic in your craft. It's not just words on the page. When you have that emotional journey, that emotional connection with your character and with what's being said, you see how a situation or a circumstance starts to weigh on somebody. You start to see how even though somebody may be upset emotionally, everyone doesn't cry, everyone doesn't cuss, everyone doesn't fight. Like, there are different honest and authentic emotional reactions, and we're going to see that from everybody's perspective in this. So when you ask me about divided loyalty, I'm excited because as Jerome, it was a challenging role. Because anyone who knows me knows that I got a big heart. I love to smile, I love to joke around, I love to have a good time. But my character is the exact opposite. My character, Jerome, like, who is Jerome? Jerome is a loner. Jerome doesn't trust anybody. Jerome, he has some internal conflicts that he's working on. So while he's doing the job, he's at conflict with with his superiors. He's at conflict within the bank robbing crew that's trying to accept him. And then as Jerome continues to go, he's learning so much about himself that's making his loyalty divided, and that's why we call it divided loyalty.
And there's so much to unpack there. As a young person growing up in New Haven, did you know about any of the history? Because like what you're speaking to, I feel like intersects with New Haven history in this really interesting way, especially the history of the Panthers in New Haven in the 70s and 80s. So like we know, right, that the FBI and the whole idea of like law and order and the law, I have so many feel I'm not saying to our listener, like, please don't listen to this and go rob a bank and say that I gave you permission to go rob a bank. I don't want a cop showing up on my doorstep this weekend. Um, However, it's like, even when you said are they working within the law? Who wrote the law, right?
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
who wrote the laws of this country? A bunch of white men who owned both land from which they had forced native folks off of, and people as property. And so when we think about that as like the original sin of this country, even the
Yeah.
idea of like operating within the law, I don't even know what that means sometimes.
And
Um,
you're
yeah,
right about that. And to further expound, when we talk about like the Constitution saying all men are created equal, we know that black men and black women were worth three-fifths of a person.
that's
So we
right.
weren't created equal
Yeah.
even from the beginning. So when you talk about this systemic structure, when you talk about like how that impacts us as black and brown people, and honestly, as long we talk about black and brown people, but we've had allies of all races, all cultures, all orientations that have all been impacted. So when we talk about like, I like to say that it's everyone against racism. It's not just black people or brown people against racism. It's all of us because we all got a job to do, and that's
Yeah,
what you see
well,
in loyalty.
yeah. And I think like on that thread, the FBI still, but certainly historically, has used white supremacy as a weapon to divide folks who are already oppressed in this country. And so yeah, so all of those things. Did you feel like you were tapping into, or I guess like, did you learn New Haven history as a kid? Because I've talked to a lot of people who are just now finding out that New Haven has this incredible history that is relatively recent. We're talking the 70s and the 80s, right? Not that long ago.
Exactly. And I had to educate myself on New Haven history because I feel like as much as I love New Haven, I love our school systems, they weren't teaching us about the Black Panther Party. They weren't teaching us about like my great aunt Mary McLeod Bethune, who was the first African American female in the presidential cabinet. She has her own school. Like they weren't teaching us those things. Like everything was okay, we're gonna teach you Martin Luther King because we want our people to be docile. So when we talk about like everything that I'm putting into Jerome, like I'm someone who's very, very like firmly planted in my community, and I love my community, but I love history. So when you talk about like the history of New Haven and how rich it is, that's another reason why I want to show that I'm doing this red carpet series premiere at the Boathouse in New Haven, because people in New Haven, I want you to come out and I want you to see that you could be more than what society tells you. You don't got to be a drug dealer. You don't got to be a pimp. You don't got to be everything except a child of God. You like, when Maya Angelou says that, our greatest fear is that it's not that we're inadequate, but that is that we're powerful and we're strong beyond our measure. That's what I want this red carpet series premiere to show people. You are strong beyond measure. So no need to be afraid of who you could be.
And for you also, like, tell me about the process. I'm always so interested when actors take on these roles that are big and heavy. Like, how are you taking care of your heart, right? Especially
Mhm.
as someone who I think for folks who have lived experience, right? Like you don't walk off the set and suddenly um have society not seeing you as a black man, right?
Very
That
true.
you
Very true.
walk off the set and you still have that lived experience every day. And so how are you caring for like your heart, your mind, making sure that emotionally you are good while you're playing this role that is very stressful.
And yeah, it is. And there are times that the role is stressful, especially when you're tapping into the character and you're thinking like the character, you're walking like the character, you're talking like the character. When you become the character, I think that the way that you keep the balance is there always has to be a time for you to decompensate. There always has to be a time for Jerome to be Jerome when Divided Loyalty is filming, but Chris has to be Chris. And there's times to where, and I'm gonna put it out there. I got a therapist. I love my therapist. Brian Johnson, he's amazing. So to me, those avenues and those, making it, and again, tying it into mental health. Black people, it's okay to be in therapy. At one point in time, we felt like it was taboo, but no, it's okay. So when you talk about like how do we balance it, I give myself those spaces to be able to say, okay, Chris, this is how you feel in this moment. So don't ignore how you feel, address it. Like, are you feeling this in the moment? Is this a long-term feeling? Is this a short-term feeling? If you can't unpack it by yourself, it's okay to ask for help. This is why you have so many resources, so many supports. And I got to give a shout out to my supports. I have so many friends and so many family members that when I need to have those honest conversations, they talk to me in an honest and in a direct manner in which I'm able to say, if everyone is saying the same thing, then I gotta listen because like people are not going in the room. Like I'm not important enough for people to be in the room saying the same thing about me and then say, hey, we're all gonna go back to Chris and tell him this. But when it comes to having that balance, I gotta have that balance because if I don't have that balance, I can't be honest, I can't be authentic to the character of Jerome.
So let's talk about this red carpet premiere. I think also the boathouse is interesting. It's at this point, it's what, 5 years old? The new boathouse? Is it
Yeah, yeah.
4 or 5? Yeah.
I'll say about five.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I feel like it's become this creative hub in a very beautiful way. So, just in the past year alone, it's the home of Playlist CT, but also it was like the Freddie Awards, lots of like awards and galas happen there. It's this beautiful space that's also a historic space
yeah,
where, when you're talking about tapping into New Haven Black history, shout out to engineer William Lanson, who in the 19th century was the genius and self-emancipated enslaved person who built part of New Haven's Long Wharf and enabled trade that let New Haven compete with New York's, like the port of New York, which is a really, really big deal.
yeah.
So you're in this historic space. The boathouse is also beautiful.
Hmm.
Um, and I feel like it's just become a font of like creative goodness
Yeah.
in the past couple of years. So let's talk about this red carpet premiere.
So, one, you just educated me on something, so thank you for that. Because we always talk about how we have so much talent in New Haven and all over Connecticut, and sometimes people overlook us and feel like the only talent is either in Massachusetts or in New York. So, when we talk about the red carpet series premiere, I am so excited for people to be in the building. So, when I talk about the red carpet series premiere, I've been pushing this and promoting for this for over the last like literally over 90 days. So before we talk about that, I want to talk about what gave me the idea. So we did two premieres, both in Massachusetts. So Steve and Alo, they played Ritz and Lucky and Divided Loyalty. They're from Massachusetts, like Western Mass. So we went up to Northampton, Massachusetts, where we did our first premiere, and then a year later we did a second premiere. So they premiered episode one last year, and then this year in about April we premiered episode two. And when I went there, and I just soaked in all the ambiance of being there, just the love that was in the atmosphere. The excitement that and the encouragement that was in the atmosphere. I had my mom there, my grandma, like I had those who were there, there to my heart, like in the premiere. And but when I was there, I said, wow, they did such a fantastic job that I want to make sure that I do something in New Haven as well because I love my city. I love my state, and I also know that everyone wasn't able to make it to Northampton. So with me choosing the boathouse, I chose the boathouse because this is something that's like a centralized hub to where no matter where you're coming from, it's literally right off the highway. So when I looked at the premiere, I said, I want to do something that's going to put Divided Loyalty out there. And I want people to recognize all of our hard work, all of our effort. And I want people to see it, to tell us what they think. And not only that, I said, my goal is to connect. So, with that being said, when we talk about this premiere, we had people flying in from LA to be in the building. We had people flying in from Houston to be in the building. We had people coming from New York. We had people coming from New Jersey, from Massachusetts. You know, uh, definitely New Haven and the rest of Connecticut, Bridgeport, Hartford. We're gonna be all in the boathouse. But with that being said, if you are a creative, you need to be in this building because we have people that work in the music industry that's going to be in the building. We have when I don't want to say too many names because I want everything to be honest and authentic when you meet people. But we have casting directors that have cast for Disney that have done headshots for Disney. We have people who have been directors, cameramen, assistant directors on projects that are actually on Amazon Prime right now. So we have people who are going to be in the building who have done multiple projects that are on Tubi on right now and have been on other platforms. We have people who worked with people in Hollywood. We have people who work with people in the music industry. We have music producers that will be in the building, vocalists, writers, singers. We have so many creatives that are going to be in the building. And if you are creative, there's a way for you to meet everybody else and be able to use this as a building block for to catapult your future. So again, the Red Carpet series premiere is Saturday, October 5th, starting at 6 p.m. at the Canal Boathouse. When you get there, it's dressed to impress. You're gonna see media is gonna be there. We're gonna have the cast is walking the red carpet. We have different people who have been staples in entertainment, from music producers or music recording artists who have sung at the Stella Awards will be walking the red carpet. We have people who have performed for Childish Gambino who will be walking the red carpet. We have people who have toured and overseas and just came back from residencies that'll be walking the red carpet. So when we talk about like this kind of premiere, like the ambiance is going to be, you're going to forget that you're going to be in New Haven. You're gonna say, wait, this has an LA feel to it because there's so many people here. Like everything down to a T is gonna be amazing. And then on top of that, we're gonna have the saxophone player. And like as soon as you go in, we're gonna have different media outlets to where people are gonna be able to have interviews with media, and not just like on the red carpet, but we have people who are gonna be like streaming live and like social media correspondents being there. So and then when you see it, we're gonna have it decorated. It's gonna be just so phenomenal. And I gotta shout out even our DJ Herman Ham. Herman's gonna be there. He's gonna be on the ones and twos, and we're gonna have an amazing time. It's gonna be amazing. We have food there. We're gonna have a food truck out. So we're gonna have some hors d'oeuvres, and if people want to eat a little bit more, go down to the food truck. And then as soon as the premiere is over, we're gonna continue to the after party to Jazzy's Cabaret. And I gotta say, we have a couple of different sponsors that have been doing amazing job behind the scenes to help us promote, from Jason Watts of the Urban Professional Network and Jazzy's Cabaret to we got Natalie Thomas, Fit University. We have Shalise McClure. We have Kevin Henry and the Cavs from the K Bar. So we have so many people who are staples within the inner city who are working to make this a project to where it's going to be phenomenal. Like even down to the point we got wait staff, we have people who like a couple of bars are going to be in the boathouse. It's going to be an amazing time. So get your tickets. Go to Instagram, Divided Loyalty Series. You'll be able to click the bio. Tickets will be up there. Type in Divided Loyalty Red Carpet Series premiere on Facebook. You can get your tickets from there. You go on Eventbrite and type in Divided Loyalty and type in New Haven. It'll bring you to our page. You can get your tickets there. This is going to be something that people do not want to miss. And then on top of that, this is all the ambiance that we're creating. But with that being said, if you see the trailer, we don't even need to do all of that. The trailer itself is going to be amazing. Not the trailer, excuse me, the project itself is amazing. I've seen it and I watched it. I'm like, wait, I want more. When we did the premiere in Northampton, literally people did not want to leave because they wanted us to show more. So we got another trailer that's going to be dropping probably sometime in October, but man, oh man, oh man, like you are going to want to be there for the red carpet series premiere of Divided Loyalty. And honestly, tell a friend to bring a friend.
So I also want to ask you, you're mentioning folks who are in LA, you're mentioning Northampton, and that's great. But one of the things I hear from actors in New Haven all the time is that they say, actually, I'm going to jet. Like New Haven's been good. I
Mhm.
liked growing up here, or sometimes they don't like growing up here. But they're like, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go to Atlanta. I'm gonna go to LA. I'm gonna go to New York, because New Haven doesn't have what I need. And so, what would you say if you were talking to, those young people who are making that decision to leave the city? And then also, like, what would you say to city officials? Like, shout out to Adrienne Jefferson, who is the city's director of arts, culture, and tourism. I think she's done a tremendous amount in just 4 years or 4.5 years that she's been with the city. but it's like it's an emergent process, right? It's still in flux. And I would say that's one of the biggest things I hear from folks in the performing arts. Like New Haven, it's been good, but I'm gonna go because they feel like they can't make a living here.
So firstly, shout out to Adrian. Adrian Jefferson is amazing. So, like all your work is ringing bells and, like you have really been a staple. So I want to say thank you for everything that you do. Because without Adrian, we wouldn't even have this opportunity. So, I just gotta call a spade a spade. Um, as it pertains to the younger version of collectives, I think this. I feel like it's on us as the older version to emulate and to show what needs to be done. And there's nothing wrong with leaving your city. There's nothing wrong with leaving your state, as long as you come back and everything that you said that the state was missing or was lacking, that you come back and you support and you reinvest into your state, into your cities, into your communities. This is why the red carpet series premiere of Divided Loyalty is going to be extremely important, because this is my way of going and all the connections that I made, bringing it back to the boathouse so I can reinvest within my community. Because the part of the reason why people leave is people are too afraid to fail. And when we talk about that, I believe that there is really a sincere concern about a fear of failure. Like we always talk about not just a fear of failure. Excuse me. I coined a phrase called the fear of success, because when we're successful, we fear that everything changes around us, and that prompts us to change. So part of us being fearful of succeeding is we're afraid to take a chance and to show our gift out openly, out of fear that if somebody doesn't connect with it, then we allow it to tear us down, instead of going back to the drawing board and allowing that to build us up. So when we talk about what's going on right now in Connecticut and New Haven specifically, I'm a firm believer, and call me crazy, I'm a firm believer we got everything that we need between New Haven, Hamden, West Haven, within this area. And then when we open it up to Hartford, New Britain, Bridgeport, Stratford, going closer to New York, when we open it up to New Haven, we have everything that we need. And I'm gonna say this: I was blessed enough to meet someone he's gonna be walking the red carpet at the premiere. And again, I don't want to say his name, but this gentleman said to me, Chris, I used to work for Dame Dash Film Studios, and we made movies over there. And now we have a new name called I believe it's called Fast and Furious Films. And forgive me if I'm messing that up. He said, all I do is shoot in Connecticut. I got 4 projects that I'm working on now that I'm planning to finish before the year is out. So why is it that if this person is able to work under a film studio with Damon Dash, who him and Sean, Sean Carter created Rockefeller Records, and now Sean Carter, aka Jay-Z, is a billionaire. If he's working under him and they could film here, you mean to tell me that you can't create the resources that are in your area to do the same thing? So to me, the issue is that we always think the grass looks greener until we go over there and we feel like, and then you learn that the grass is only greener because you got to water that grass, and you got to cut that grass, and you got to put fertilizer on it, and you gotta love your grass. That's why the grass is greener.
So before we conclude, and I will send Harry Droz, who's the man behind the magic, and Harry, thank you for all you do, the Eventbrite to share with our interview. But before we conclude, I asked you this a little bit before, but I always like to ask artists, how do you protect your peace? Because I think and I hope that people will draw inspiration from that, whether or not they work in the arts.
And I think that protecting your peace is hands down the most important thing you could do. And if you're not good to yourself, how could you be good to somebody else? So I think that there's multiple ways of protecting your peace. One, get your relationship with something that's greater than you. I believe in God. I accepted my Lord and Savior a long time ago. So I know that my life is for a purpose. And with that being said, that part of what I do is, if I feel like I'm disappointed or my life gets too heavy or too hectic, I got a prayer closet. I'm not gonna lie to you. Even with doing this premiere, like this premiere hasn't been easy to do. And there's been times that I've cried, I laughed, I smiled, but it's been times that I had to go to God in prayer and say, Lord, you said faith without works is dead. And I'm out here doing the work and I got my faith. So I believe that you are going to open up doors for me. And I will continue to believe that because every door that he opens for me, I have a charge and a challenge to bring somebody else to the door that I just left. So with that being said, when you ask me how do I protect my peace, I got the peace that surpasses all understanding anyway. So with that being said, I already know who I go to. So that's the first way that I protect my peace. The second way I protect my peace is being able to really say who are the people that are in your circle? Are the people in your circle honest with you? Are they genuine? Are they authentic? Are they going to tell you what you don't want to hear? When they see you start to stray down the path, do they have the courage to tell you, Chris, I see you doing A, B, and C. This is not you. The people that you love are supposed to keep you balanced and keep you grounded. So that's the second way I protect my peace. The third way, if I feel like, oh, maybe people know me too much, again, I go to my therapist. I talk to him honestly. Hey, I just need your opinion on something. This is what I've been thinking. When you are able to be real with yourself, you can be real with anybody. So that's how I feel like I protect my peace. And I like to be in the gym too, so that's the fourth way. I get my physical exercise. I get my workout on. Maybe I'll play basketball, go for a run. There's things that you could do, especially being outside, taking in the sun rays, taking in nature, the fresh air, going by water. So there's many ways that you could enjoy your peace and protect your peace. And even by talking to people, you never know. You may find new skill sets or new ways to find things that are peaceful.
I love that. I want to thank you, Chris Bethune, so much for being here with us on Arts Respond on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. There's like a party going on in the background. I don't know what's happening, but I'm really sorry if that sound is carrying over to radio. The folks at Long Wharf Theater are having a good time on this Friday afternoon, which is
And they didn't
great.
invite me.
No, they didn't invite me either. So please don't take it personally. There are neighbors across the hall. They're really good neighbors, actually. Shout out to Longmont.
Excellent.
Um, but Chris Bethune, it has been such a joy to talk to you about the to be upcoming series, Divided Loyalty, and your character Jerome, who Jerome is. If folks are hearing this and haven't watched the series, I was gonna say like it's maybe not family friendly, uh, like maybe don't watch it with young kids. Do you think that's fair?
I would say this is what I would say. I trust whatever decision parents make
That's right.
because
I
right,
like that. Yes, I appreciate
yeah,
that. Yeah, I'm not going to tell y'all how to parent. That's right.
yep. Because truth be told, when we talk about our children are growing up faster than we've ever grown up.
That's
We had
very
like
real.
literally I just read a study the other day that said adolescent, females are starting to have their menstrual cycles earlier. So when you talk about like the maturing, the maturation of our youth, we have our adolescents who are exposed to things that we've never been exposed to, 10, 11, 12 years old. So I trust people's decision making. I would say that to me, because it's funny because I have a niece that I was talking to my brother about. He said, do you think we should bring her? And I told him, I said, it depends on what your level, like what her level of exposure is, you know. But I don't think that there's anything in here that I would say can't be watched by I would say probably TV 14. That's what I would say. So not rated R, not rated MA, but you know,
So yes, and bring yourselves to the Canal Dock Boathouse on October 5th in the
yeah.
evening. It's going to be a good time. Chris Bethune, thank you so much, and have a beautiful weekend.
Thank you, Lucy. It's good to see you again.
You too. Take care.
You too.